I do think competition is rather necessary. Complacency has always been a huge enemy of success.
When you compete with only yourself, then it's an infinite game really.
You have to find some way to create the environment. All goes back to environment, even for competition.
True. Whatever you think you are good at, there's always an Asian that's better than you.
You were born to be the best figure skater Singapore ever had.
Maybe I don't even know.
Yeah, but you know, because you don't have the opportunity to even explore that, at some point in life, you can create it for yourself. Obviously, not in the sporting arena because you are too old for that.
If I'm good at it, I owe it to myself to realize that. Why let it be wasted?
So it's quite a step-by-step process to lead you to even wanting to be competitive.
Right, guys, welcome back to Against the Grain, episode 6. Wow, we've come so far already, guys. Okay, any of y'all watched the Euros last night?
I think from my face, you can see that I didn't manage to get enough sleep
Can
after
tell,
that.
can tell.
Can tell my eye bags are a bit more shack today.
Gucci bag, very Gucci right now.
Yeah, bro, quite shack. But I think it was worth it. It was a not bad match, I think, to watch. Yeah.
Anything interesting that you felt? Any reflections from the whole
Uh,
Euros?
From the match itself, I don't think it was much. I think I expected Spain to win. England shithoused their way to the final, right? And then obviously, when they come up with a true contender, it's hard to do the same thing, like rely on last minute goals or luck, right, to win. But I think the greatest part about the Euros this round, right, was one of the countries that participated, right, Georgia. Right? I think for Georgia, they were the new one of the new countries that qualified for the Euros, and they actually beat Portugal 2-0 during the group stage, right? And I think that was very interesting to me because Portugal is one of the top 10 highest ranked nations in world football, not just Europe, right? World football. And of course, led by Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the legends of the game, right? So they lost 2-0 to like lowly Georgia, who's a new qualifier into the tournament, right? So I think that sort of showed me that, everybody's dangerous in whatever industry you're in or whatever competition that you're in, as long as it's something that, matters to some people or competitive enough, right? Anybody that is in the game can be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Anyone can beat anyone. You let your guard down for 45 minutes, one half of football, or even 90 minutes, one whole game, right? You can lose. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who you're facing, right? And it's possible, right? So I think that's something that I took away, and I think that also ties in very nicely to what we're about to discuss today,
Yes.
right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, which is actually today's topic. Staying hungry despite success, having fierce competition to round out everybody. I guess I just want to kind of start by saying that I do think competition is rather necessary. Complacency has always been a huge enemy of success. If there are competitors chasing after you, then I guess that means you are doing something right. Right? Competition really forces out some form of innovation.
Yep.
It pushes everyone to go further. If you think about it, it's only steel can sharpen steel. Okay, so I guess my first question for you guys today, for our viewers and for our podcast, of all the successful people that you guys can think about right now, what are some traits or some qualities that you have come to see in these people?
One of the most common traits of successful people is the ability to never settle. Right? I think typically for most people, once they attain a level of, I guess, success, right, material comfort, stability, whether we're talking about income, tangible stuff or intangible stuff, most people decide that, that is a nice enough place to stay at, right? And, here's the thing, to each his own, right? There is no right or wrong, I think, when it comes to such things, right? If you are happy with where you are at, why should anyone take that away from you? Why should anyone tell you otherwise, right? But let's say you want to, steer yourself towards what, most people in the, I guess, business world, corporate world, will consider as true success, right? We move away from things like enjoying your freedom or, enjoying time with your family or material, that kind of stuff. Talk about I think just achieving ideas of greatness and exceeding your own potential. Then I think not settling for the status quo is one of the, biggest traits that a successful person can or should have, right? And alongside with never settling is this idea of, rising above the competition as well. When you are doing something great, you can be sure that there are others who are doing just as well or excellent also, right? So how do you constantly stay above your peers? I think that is level 1, right? How do you stay above your peers, right? How do you ensure that there's a gap between you and them? And how do you, take advantage in a way of that competition to always keep yourself at edge, right? Because I would say for us, we are all fairly competitive people, right, in our own rights. And I would say if not for the fact that we faced good competition in
fair.
our years of business, right, it likely would have been the case where we would have settled for less. Earlier I said level one, right? So why do I say just level one? Because if we are only able to thrive when there is competition, what happens then when there is none, right? In a way, we are forced to be as good as our competition necessitates it. But what if our competition is so far beneath us one day? Would that give us less, propensity or desire to grow? Could there be a problem? Right? I think a level above this would be competing not just with other people, right? But in fact to detach away from that and let the true competition be yourself. Right? When you compete with only yourself, then it's an infinite game really. How can I keep being better from the version I was, yesterday, the day before, etc. You're no longer, strung along this game whereby it's always you versus someone else, right? And it's highly dependent on someone else. Now you can rely on just yourself, your own internal pressures, and use yourself as a driving force. I do think that, having that competition with yourself, having the ability to never settle, these are all traits that it's going to propel you all the levels ahead.
And I think that ties into how like very successful people. Okay, we don't talk about those people who are like successful, but those like really at the top of
top
their
of top
game,
lah.
top of top, like the
Yeah.
goats, right, of whatever is the industry or sport that they play, right? And that's what you're talking about, right? People who,
Yeah.
I mean, you reach goat level, you are the goat for a reason. There's no one above you, right? Correct. And then when that happens, then can they continue to create that competition or against themselves or whatnot to go even further? Right. I think that ties into to me when I hear you talk about that, right? It's more about having a very, very big and big, not say intangible goal, but a very, very big goal that maybe has never been done before. So that is the true purpose behind these people. I mean, if you tell people, okay, I want to make a certain amount of money, then when I reach that amount of money, then I'm successful. But when I think for us, we also realize that through experience, that a lot of people that we know who have that kind of mentality stop at that point, right? If I make 10K per month, and then, from that, I realize that I'm successful. And then after that, I don't know what's after that. And most of the time, that's where your income stops, or it stagnates around that amount as well.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of people that I speak to, whether through interviews or just a casual conversation or clients or whatnot, right? They also explain to me like, oh, I just want to be like comfortable in Singapore. So I always ask them, okay, to be comfortable, what is the amount, right? Can you give me a number so at least I know like what they're thinking about, right? So they'll give me some random number, 5K, 6K, 8K, 9K, 10K, whatever it is, right? But the thing is that when they reach that number, then they will no longer innovate or to push themselves to go further, which is what you said, right? So I think everyone needs to have something bigger than that, a bigger purpose, a bigger vision that they are aiming for, right? Then it makes sense or gives them reason to go further than what competition dictates or to conform to society, right? Or even better than your peers. Because what does that mean, right? If you look at the average fresh grad income, so you do more than that, then like have you won? Are you successful? Right? It may not be the case,
yeah.
right? And you've always compare to your peers, then you are comparing to the average, right? So at most you are like maybe a bit above average, but when you get to that level where you can really make something out of your life, something that you are proud of, or good level even, you wouldn't lah, right? So I think there's quite a lot of things to think about in terms of how competitive you must be, or how can you create that level of competition that you can thrive in, right? I think that there's a lot of things that we probably need to discuss over the course of this episode as well.
Actually, if I could chime in, right?
Yeah.
I just had a thought, right? Do you guys think competition or competitiveness is something that is more nature or nurture? Because earlier you gave the example, right? When people reach, let's say 8, 9, 10K, right, an arbitrary number, then they start to feel like good enough, complacent, or whatever it may be already, right? I was just thinking to myself, on the flip side, there could also be people that once you reach a certain number, whatever your original ideal goal or number was, right, that you start to get desensitized by it. You start to realize or feel that, hey, actually, it doesn't seem like as shiok or as good as I thought it would be when I finally got there, right? Maybe I should be going for more. So I feel like there could be two sides to the coin, right? And on that, in a parallel vein, right? Do you think this is something that is more of like, when you're born, you're kind of like, gonna fit into one of these molds already, or would you say it's more of nurture, whereby because of your environment, upbringing, the people you surround yourself with, your thoughts are gonna be shaped accordingly?
No, I think it's okay. I think it's confirmed nurture because right. Okay, let's we give you an example, right? Let's say right now we are all three good friends. Then we all decide that okay, to be comfortable in Singapore, right, we need to make 10K per month. Right? So let's say I get to that level first. Then maybe for both of you guys, maybe you took a while to reach there. Lah. So on this journey to 10K per month, right? Obviously, birds of a feather flock together. So maybe along this journey, maybe we won't be as close anymore. Usually I will find a new environment. People who also make similar amount of money. Maybe I do new hobbies, right? Or I interested in new things. Or for example, last time I got no money to, for example, drink very good whiskey. But now that I have income to do so, then I join a whiskey club, and then for that I meet people who are even above me, right, in terms of income and whatnot, right? So when I get into the environment, you hear from them, you'll be thinking, how come these people are telling me that 20K per month, 30K per month, right? Not even enough for them, right? And maybe they share with you the things that they want to do in their life and maybe their perspective. Then you realize, I was dreaming too small. And that's where you want to go further, because you're exposed to an environment that necessitates that in a way, or you get to know of a perspective that creates the need for that. But previously, when we just three of us talking, right, there is no need for that, because we couldn't see past the need for the $10,000, right? So I think to me, it's always nurture lah. Nobody, if let's say we live in a utilitarian kind of society or whatever, right, and come out everyone equal, no matter what you do, right, you go back, give back to the government or whatever, not right. Then in a sense, there's no real need.
That is true lah. I mean, I guess on hindsight, that's why when you think about it, Asian societies are usually higher performing than Western societies, right? I mean, let's talk about even as kids academically, right? There's this saying in the West, right? Whatever, something along the lines of, whatever you think you are good at, there's always an Asian that's better than you.
Okay,
Right.
if you think about it, if our school system is not bell curve, if like 100 people take the exam, right, there's a possibility that 100 people can get
All A's.
all A's, everyone get A, right?
Yep.
Then you think, okay, will you study as hard as that if there was a bell curve? Confirm not what?
True.
You study enough to get an A, that's it, everyone get the same. Settle, right? But if it's a bell
Now
curve,
it's
you are
more-
forced to
Now you
compete,
need to
right?
be even better.
Correct, it's dynamic, ma. I get,
True,
maybe let's say
true.
you all get 70 upon 100, that's A. But if you all get 70 and it's bell curve, no one is an A, ma. Right, I need to get 90, 95, whatever it is, right? And that then creates a competition, and that necessitates, right, the mentality to then do more. So it's always created by the environment, ma. So that's why in life and in business, I always say if you want to achieve that kind of success, right, you have to find some way to create the environment for yourself, right? Which I think we discussed this multiple times throughout the past episodes, right? All goes back to environment, even for competition.
True.
Right,
I think
and
to some extent, right, like you could also, okay, let's imagine myself
Yeah.
as a newborn kid, lah, right? And maybe I'm around like 5, 6 years, 7 years old right now. And if I do not show any, for example, intellectual inclination, nobody is going to tell me also that like, hey, wow, boy, you score so much for your math exam or whatever. Actually, you can potentially go and be a, for example, like professor, lah, right?
Okay.
Like, there must be some amount of innate talent or whatever that's showing also, then that nurturement could possibly come in also. So it's also why I feel like to be a high performer, it's a very extremely difficult business also. So that if you take LeBron James, for example, he spends about like what $1 million plus a year just to keep his body in the best condition available
Yeah.
to play his games.
Yeah.
Right? But if he didn't had that, didn't start showing talent when he was a kid, he didn't start showing some kind of effort also in basketball.
yeah, he wouldn't even reach that level
He
to
will reach
even
that
do
level
this.
to
Yeah,
do
agree,
this also
agree,
lah, yeah.
agree.
For me also that for this kind of like high performance or high competitive people, there is also an innate amount of like self-esteem or self-ego that you need to exhibit, right? If you do not have that confidence coming out, you may not even want to try being that kind of high performer also.
But that's built over the years also, ma. As you
It is.
said, right? So I mean, LeBron James never come out, and then the mom look at him and say, okay, he's gonna be the best basketball player that ever lived, right? So that was built along the years as he formatively learned basketball and he became the best in the country at his age and blah blah blah, whatever it is, right? So end of the day, maybe you were born to be the best figure skater
Fair.
Singapore ever had.
Maybe I don't even know.
Yeah, but because you don't have the opportunity to even explore that, right? So I think there is some luck involved, but of course, that is a very, very small chance, lah. But in life also, if you're able to create situations where you're able to have that to some extent, right? Whether is it when you're young or even now, right? Then that will then create the need for you to grow,
So it's
and
sort
compete.
of like a chicken and egg kind of scenario.
Yeah, lah. But I think at some point in life you can create it for yourself. Obviously not in the sporting arena because you are too old for that.
Yeah.
But maybe in the business arena, maybe in maybe some kind of whatever success that you want to find in whatever industry that you're in, you can create that kind of levels of pressure maybe to then
Does that mean
find the
that
competition.
your current circle can also help determine your future potential?
Yeah, of course. Okay, you see, right? Let's say you have three of us are very good friends. I tell you guys, hey guys, I think 10K not enough. I think you should go for 30K a month. Then every day you have to tell me, 10K obviously enough, right? I count already, blah blah blah. This is confirmed enough to have a children, have child, have a family, live life comfortably in Singapore. And every day we talk about this, right? End of the day, I also will say, okay lah, kena cycle, okay, sure. I think maybe no, don't need 30K lah, 10K enough.
But thankfully it's the opposite. We tell you 30K also not
Yeah,
enough.
exactly. So if that's the case, right, then it's all nurture, all of it, in a way. And then you think about it, right, talking about this exact question, even humankind as a species, right, we only get leaps in advancement and technology, right, when there's a big competition. I'm not talking about Euros, right? Talking about like World War. What is war? War is competition, Literally, trying to kill the other fucker.
Now that you talk about this, like even things like the moon landing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Back then, I think it was Russia and the States, they were racing,
To who land on the moon first,
I
right?
think maybe even China was involved.
Now they're trying to push for first man on Mars or something.
Yeah, so
whatever lah, yeah.
like I actually now that I think about it, I do agree, right? Even personal experience wise, for I think almost my entire life, I did not have even an ounce of competitiveness. I think very very little lah, near zero. I didn't have anything that I felt that I wanted to compete in at all.
Interesting to hear.
Yeah, but after starting my career over here, right, the moment I realized this was something that I was decent at, right, I could be good at, that spurred me to want to do even better. So in a way, I was trying to compete with myself, but at the same time, having external competition also with other people, right, helped me to get a lot further ahead, I think, than I would have. But I feel that this also sometimes, it treads the line of what is healthy competition versus what could be toxic competition,
Fair.
right? But maybe I can ask you guys this, right? What do you define as toxic competition, and have you ever faced it before?
Okay, but before we go to that, right, I think whatever you said ties in like perfectly what you said, where like the LeBron James thing, right?
Yeah.
So the only reason why you feel the need to be competitive now, right, is because you feel like you can do this well to some extent. Imagine a multiverse kind of situation where another universe don, right, sucked at this career or this job.
Then I wouldn't even feel
The need to be competitive, because you don't even like what you're doing.
So in
You're
a
not
way,
even
it's
good.
like if I'm good at it, I owe it to myself to realize that potential in a way. But
a bit of that, yeah.
why let it be wasted?
But the only way that you have known that you will be good at it is if you had allowed yourself to try to do it in the beginning also.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
correct lah.
of fear and hindrance at the
So
beginning.
it's quite a step-by-step process to lead you to even wanting to be competitive.
Yep.
Right, from your story lah.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, but I guess I wouldn't discount the possibility where someone may suck at something and they are still competitive about it, and maybe through a very long series of grinding, they are finally able to make it. I'm not sure if you guys have, people like that, whether like personally or maybe like athletes or.
I feel like that's a little bit of me in the past. I think I was brought up very conservatively to some extent also. So the nature that I am right now still is a byproduct of what we have gone through also. Like I've become more daring, more brave. But the initial conservative nature also was also the nurturement of my childhood, where if you do not see, if you're not confident of being able to do something, then you shouldn't do it, right? But actually, I feel that right now it should be the opposite. Even if you're not confident, you should still at least try to do part of it, right? So I heard this phrase before also. If it's a yard, it's hard, but if it's an inch, do it step by step, and it will be a cinch. So why not just
Oh,
take
okay.
baby steps and then actually try it out first? It could also be a situation of a lot of analysis paralysis. We are weighing so many options up front that it causes us to become encumbered, and we may not even want to take the next step forward.
Then I think now that we have explained like our perspective on competition and how does it come about, right? And why is it, I guess, in a way, we can collectively agree is good, more good lah than bad for society and also individual success in general, right? I think also now that we are in the position that we're in our careers and achieving certain milestones and being number one and whatnot, right? So competition is now different, right, for us. From initially the competition is to get, from nowhere to where we are, which is first. But now the competition is that how do we continuously do that, right? In light of new competitors like how Georgia beat Portugal in the Euros, as well as new people that might be in the industry that look at us and say, okay, we want to beat them, right? How do you guys look at that, and does that motivate you? Does that make you want to be better? Like, do you even care about them? Because once you reach number one, the game is different, right? Like you said, you are in a competition against yourself. So how does that pan out for you guys?
I think it's interesting, right? Because and let's say for myself right now,
Yep.
I'm in two different positions. One, where as Odyssey, right, we are number one and we will daylight other people. But on the flip side, in our category, right, I'm number two, right, where I am considerably behind the number one in that category. So I guess I can give both takes and perspectives on this, right? As Odyssey, I don't even think about the competition at all. Because when you are ahead and when you're winning, right, and you are confident that you are able to pull it off again time after time, and you're not like a one hit wonder, then the competition in a way becomes, at the risk of sounding cocky, right, or arrogant, it's a bit irrelevant because not to say they're not good, but you just know and you are confident enough that you are just that much better.
You do your job, you will win again lah. Basically
Yes,
lah.
you as long as you don't get complacent, you don't slip up,
Yeah.
like you gain that kind of confidence where you're gonna get a job done no matter what. So you don't really have to think about the competition.
Okay.
But on the flip side, when I look at our FSAD care, right, the number 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down, the gaps are decent but not say like huge or so.
Yeah.
But the gap between number 2, which is me, and number 1,
Yeah, it's big lah.
right, they are, I would say, triple,
3x 3x, yeah.
close to 2.5 to 3x lah, right? Whereas the rest are like not even 0.5x apart, right? In fact, much less than that. From that perspective, of course, you think about competition then really,
Yeah.
right? But it's not so. I guess in the old me would have been like, wow, lose already, lor, right? They are just so far ahead. But I guess with more experience, more maturity, just more life experiences along the way also. Now I start to see it as like, wow, how can I be like them? Rather than think about like, I can't. Now I start thinking about how can I, overcome the odds? How
No,
can I?
that's the beauty about competition, right? Because whoever's in front of you or whoever achieved that thing before you, right? Then it proves to you that actually it's possible, ma.
Yeah,
If that bugger can do it, and I don't think I'm worse off than him, then
it can be done, right?
so actually it's like it becomes from an impossibility to a
Yeah.
possibility, ma.
It's,
Right.
it's easier to be number 2 also in a way, actually, from what you described.
In a way, lah.
In a way lah. But also I think you also kind of develop that strong sense of urgency also. I think, so if I could put things into perspective, let's say if you are a firefighter, time can cost lives, right? If you're an investor, time can cost you money. And in our career, time actually costs us a lot of opportunities. So we've also kind of learned to stop taking a step back and really start moving much faster also. You never know what's going to be ahead.
Yeah, and I think for me, right, it's like two levels, right? It's a competition against yourself, becoming better, and also a competition against others, which is what you are describing
Yeah.
as well, right? So I think competition against yourself, right, requires a shitload of personal discipline.
Yes. It's very easy to not
Yeah.
want to compete against yourself.
Sometimes I know lah. You know, when the bonus come in, you look at your account, you just like, okay, fuck it. Maybe I can relax for a while. You know, take a chill pill for a week or two, right? I'll still be in a good position, right? You know, and you know we can take a break or whatever, right? But the truth is, we know that that is detrimental to our success, right? But we still do it because maybe at some level I'm not yet at the stage where I can, you know, have full mastery over my own discipline, and if I talk about just competing against myself. That's why for me, I think competing against others is big lah for me because that is a yardstick that is dynamic. Right, like I may do whatever it is to get to whatever point, but if I look at someone, that guy's in front of me and I don't think I want to lose, then that is always moving forward, right? But then of course, you know, can you write that to the top and then what happens after that? Because you reach there and then there's no one else, But I think the beauty of what we do is that there's always someone else, in the company, if not in the country, if not then regional, then if not the world, right? If you can get to number one in the world in our lifetime, then okay lah. That's I mean that is I think end
There's a
point for me
legacy.
lah. If I reach that end point, I think I'm fine to end it there.
So
Right.
going back to my question just now, then what marks the end of healthy competition and the start of toxic competition then for you guys? Is it something you have faced before, or maybe it's not even something that you guys are familiar with?
Okay, I think for me is quite simple. Like okay, to me as a sports person, right, it's about, you know, is there sportsmanship in it lah, right? If you want to win, of course, winning a lot of ways, you can become much better and beat your opponent, or you can make your opponent much worse and beat him that way, right? One is more honorable than the other, like in my opinion, right? So I mean, to give you a example, right? Of course, we are in a very competitive industry, right? Saturated, blah blah, whatnot, right? So I think last time when we used to try our best to, of course, bring the right people into the team. And good people, of course, they will consider other organizations and companies and teams as well. So that's very normal in our industry, right? And I think in the past, when maybe quite years ago, when they used to compare, I always try to find some shit thing to say about the other person. Like they are not good at this, or maybe they bluff you, you know, with, you know, they say this, but can they really deliver? So I try to find holes in whatever they try to sell my candidate, right? And then sort of downplay that or you know what not lah. But nowadays I realize that that's not really the way I want to win also. There's a competition. Right? I think for me, if I want to beat the competition, I'd rather we just upsell ourselves. Right? We can be so good, or I can be so good that whatever it is that people tell them, right, it doesn't matter. And to me that is positive competition lah. But if I were to continue the negative way of recruitment, right? Then I think that to some extent is toxic lah. Because I feel like I become a worse off person.
Okay, then let me pose you a difficult question then.
Sure.
If you had to choose only between two choices, right, where what you either be honorable or sportsman-like,
Okay.
but you lose, or you know, go the other way around, whereby maybe not so sportsman-like, not so honorable, but a win is still a win. If it was only between these two and no other permutation, which one would you go for?
Of course, the ideal we all know lah, which is to be sportsman-like and win with honor.
Yeah,
right?
that's the
best
ideal
way,
lah.
right?
But let's say life is not always so ideal.
Okay, I think the me 5 years ago, right, would take the second option, which is to win no matter what. Of course, not doing anything illegal lah, but maybe gray area here and there, right? But I think the me now, right, I can safely tell you that I would choose to lose with honor. Also because I believe, right, by losing this way, right, you learn more than you win. Anyway, then I'll be in a better position, right? I'll be better equipped to win the next time. I mean, that's my perspective now, lah. Right? If I don't win it honorably now, then it's not my time, lor. It just means that I don't deserve it at this point, right? So then I'm not good enough, lah. Which means I need to learn a lesson. Then I need to become good enough. Then I will honor the next time, lor.
I guess my answer will be very close to what you mentioned also. like, so the part you say about you're not shitting on other people, am I right? The first idea that came to my head when Don posed the question was, I would rather be. You don't want, let's say you think about like in a garden, right? You don't want to be the one like spraying shit on other plants, right? You rather be the best flowers to attract all the bees or whatever. I guess what would be good for me in terms of like healthy competition is when you feel that your values are fully aligned with the game also. You have seen this in many show. Let's say in basketball, where somebody tried to do, for example, a slam dunk. He missed and he fell and he would have hit head first, right? But the competitor actually saved him from falling down. I think this was also in soccer. The goalkeeper tried to catch the ball, slipped or something, and almost fell down and hit the head. But then the other person, the opposing team, chose to not let the goal in, but went to save the goalkeeper instead. Right? You've also seen this in, I think it was Ronaldo. Ronaldo said this before. So he asked one of his team members to take the final penalty kick and it was for a championship. And he just said, you are good, you can do it. If we lose it, then we lose if we lose, then we lose. Right? So I think there was a very strong impact on his team member, which eventually he scored and they won that championship also. So I guess in like what Rup say, when you can come out of that competition, feeling better about yourself, feeling that you have contributed to the game to a higher order, and you have shown yourself to be a great role model for the next group of competitors, then you know you are on the right path.
But that's hard to do, right? Because most people play the dishonorable game.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can be the most beautiful flower lah. But the truth is, every other person throwing shit. That's the way the world works, ma. So the way to win, of course, to most people is that who throw the most shit. Before people throw shit at me, I throw more shit at them, ma. Right. So I think because the society is built this way, competition is built this way. That's why we grew up in a dog eat dog world. We have to do that to survive. Right. I think that's the innate or that's the very natural thing that you learn.
But like you said, the word is survive, right?
Yeah
If
lah,
you
yeah lah.
are, if you go by the Maslow hierarchy of needs,
Yeah lah.
survival is at the bottom of the chain, the bottom of the pyramid. Well, I think once we go past that,
Correct
levels
lor.
ahead.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you guys that right. If I think maybe even 2-3 years back, I would have picked to just win, right? Without even probably a second thought. Of course, no, you don't do anything illegal or what,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As long as it's within technicalities,
The rules lah.
I would have been okay with it, right? But I think across the years, you see and learn more things. You realize that winning isn't everything, lah, right? If you win, but then you didn't really win with honor, is it really still?
No, I think winning winning is everything, but the feeling of winning.
Yeah,
How
do you
is
do you
different.
feel like
you actually feel
genuinely-
that
yeah.
do you actually feel
So
that
you
win?
you can lie to everybody, or rather you can help people perceive everything, but
Yeah.
you can never change how you truly perceive yourself. Also.
Yeah, you will
That-
know for a fact that
Yeah, like
you
deep
didn't do
down
it.
in your
Yeah.
heart, you will know.
Yeah.
Which actually brings me to one of my last few questions here. What do you guys feel that you can guide or share with our viewers to be more hungry, to be more competitive, and to raise the overall game in general?
I think the first is to not shy away from competition. Right, I think from building the organization over the years, I think we have also come across people who are like quite like anti-competition. You know what I mean? Like they say, oh,
Why do we need to-
anything to compete with other people, right? I don't want because it will make me toxic. Right, like, it will make me toxic. Then I will become a person that I don't want to become.
But yeah,
Because
but
of how
whether
you play
it's
it
toxic
out,
or
right?
not, actually it's up to
Yeah,
you.
exactly,
right?
exactly, right. So I mean that is just to me an excuse or reasoning that you give yourself to just explain that maybe you just don't want to compete because
You scared you cannot-
scared you lose
cannot perform lor.
or you just want to be comfortable lah, wherever you are. If that's the case, then just say it as it is lah, right? If let's say there's competition, there's a honorable path and a more dishonorable one. You choose to walk a dishonorable one, then we call a spade lah. You're just a dishonorable person. You're just a toxic competitor. It's not that the competition made you toxic, ma. To me, is that if there is a chance of competitiveness, if there is a chance to face competition and the pressures that kind of competition, right? I would say always take it. I think to one very very simple analogy is that we joined the career almost at the same time lah for us, right? Plus minus 1 year of each other, and of course we did internship together a long time ago. I think I'm not someone that the truth is I'm not someone that wanted to be the best. I was someone that know that I'm pretty good. So I just put in that percentage of effort to, just be at the level that I'm above average. Like from young, I'm just that kind of person, right? So never the best, but somewhere, above
Just good
average.
enough
Good enough
to
to be above
perform.
average, to perform, right? But the thing is that is dependent on my environment, mah. Right. So I think as I've seen some of you guys like do better in the career and also, go faster or further than me in some areas of the career throughout the timeline, right? It also made me think, actually, why am I choosing to live my life like that? Why not just be 100%? Then see what happens, from that. Right. So I think the perception you have towards competition needs to be a positive one. Right, and not to shirk away from it lah. Like, why not have competition? Right, I mean, in our industry, very simple, right? The fact that there is competition actually benefits the consumers. The fact that it's so competitive in terms of the products, for example, right? That's why the products keep getting better, getting cheaper, the benefits keep going up, right? Because there's competition, mah. If there's none, then we'll all be screwed, mah. Right? The monopolistic insurer or whoever can just set whatever shit they want, and then people just have to take it no matter what. Right? So I think nothing bad about it. It's just your perspective towards it. I mean, don't be afraid lah. Losing is part of life lah. I think people scared to have competition because there's a winner and there's a loser mah.
But actually, we can all be winners also.
Yeah,
Yeah lor.
losing is you can also be a winner mah because you learn something.
Yeah.
Like to me, I'd rather learn something also. That's why it's so hard to continuously be number one. Because if you keep winning, right, you learn nothing.
Yeah.
Because you think that everything going well, mah. That's why I'm number one still, mah. Right? But if you lose, you keep getting second, you keep thinking, what am I short? What am I short? What do I need to learn? What do I need to change? And that's where growth, innovation, progress happens, mah. And then, of course, success is at the end of that journey, lah. And I feel that is what, if you're listening to this, that's my 2 cents. And that's my advice to you, lor.
Fair. Don, what do you think?
I think the ability to keep competing, willingly compete with yourself, I think that's one of the highest level skills that one can attain. Right? I don't think I'm quite there or even near reaching it, but I think if we can all collectively do it, right, that will inevitably it's gonna be impossible or difficult even to not become better. If you always put yourself in that mindset, right, that I want to, get better than whatever I was yesterday.
What's the actionable step that someone can do to do that?
If I can contribute
Okay.
to this, I would say one step is to really practice the habits of what the successful people are doing also. And all this also is like the idea of visualization and the idea of manifestation also.
I agree with the visualization part, which is something I was going to come to. So, if let's say you want to put this into action, I think there are a few stages to it. First one is you ask yourself, right, am I completely happy with where I am right now?
Yep.
Or do I feel like there is still room for me to get even better, grow as a person? Right, whatever that growth looks like to you, right? I mean, this could be with any aspect of your life, right? Could be career-wise, personal life, relationships, fitness, if you're into sports, whatever it is, right? Could be any aspect of your life. If let's say your answer is yes, I'm completely happy, then I mean the game really, I guess, it kind of comes to a standstill.
Yeah.
And again, if that is something that you are perfectly contented and happy with, why should anyone tell you otherwise, right? That's perfectly fine. In fact, I think in a lot of ways you have achieved your definition of success already, right? No one can take that away from you.
Yep.
But of course, now let's say though, your answer is that, no, you know what, I don't feel like I'm quite there yet. Then the next thing you want to think about is, okay, what would the most ideal version of me look like? Let's say in the multiverse, right? There are so many variants of us, right? The most ideal or the most empowered, highest level version of you, right? Think about what that version of, Leonard, Ruben, Don looks like. Now, let's say you think about that version of you, then you think about where you are right now. Look at what that gap is. Right? When you figure out what that gap is, from there you can start breaking down the steps already. Right? What, that ideal version of myself, what are the things that this person would be doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, right? Such where I am not doing right now. Once you can start piecing these puzzle pieces together, I think you get a much more holistic and complete picture then of how you eventually can become such a person. So I think in terms of growth in any aspect or area of your life, that is one way you could, think about it.
if I could just add on to what Don said also, I would like on top of practicing all those, right, you also need to ask yourself what is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose of you being here in this world also? Is it just to simply live and then waste your time away? Or is it to be able to create new opportunities or create new initiatives and create new things for the world also? I read this line before that really made a huge impact on me. It said that most of us actually don't even realize our greatness because we get sidelined by extra or other secondary activities. Like most people don't even get to experience how much they can really be. Like what I said, the highest version of yourself. But that also begins by you asking yourself, like, is this what I want my life to be? Am I really just going to sit there and let all my experiences and failures accumulate? Or am I going to take the next step forward and say that, okay, this is the time where I want my next 10, 20, 30 steps to reach the version of myself that would actually be able to be my highest form, lah, or be my best form.
We have heard from each other pretty good insights
I feel so
today.
inspired.
Okay,
I think to like close it off, right? If people were to ask me why welcome more competition, actually I would say yes.
no, of course.
Because I think that
more
will
the
help
better.
us to go even further
Yeah.
than if we didn't have it, right? At the end of the day, yeah, it's scary lah. Maybe you can lose, right? If there's competition, maybe you lose, right? But you know, is what is the end outcome that you want for yourself? You know, your life, you know, and the organization, maybe in terms of for us, right? And I think to really realize our true potential, right? If you put us in a very, very controlled, like a lab kind of environment, right? And we just grow naturally by ourselves, right? No way we are here, man.
Different lah,
Yeah,
different.
0% chance.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I would, I kind of want to close it off also by saying that it's only really a loss if you think of it as a loss, right? There are so many ways to think of it as a learning opportunity or experience. And in fact, I think sometimes it is good to take losses also, because if you keep winning, you invite complacency, right? You will never be really incentivized to try to reinvent or re-innovate new things or strategies or whatever.
Okay, but I would like to say, right, best is also, I mean, of course, if possible.
Ideal lah,
Bring the
ideal
audio.
is.
No, but okay,
yeah.
possible don't lose, right? So to me, the only difference between someone that wins and loses, right, in this sense, right, is that how fast you adapt. If you adapt fast enough to your competition, at the end of the year, you know, you still are top of the rankings, right? You still learn that lesson.
True.
The lesson was still learned. Just that you did it fast enough, you took action, executed it at a level where, you know, it made enough sense for you to still be first.
Yep.
Right? And then you win. So to me, that is the best ideal. Right? But if you had to take a loss for you to realize that you need to adapt, then for sure the loss is also good lah. Right? But of course, you know, for us, we want to maintain this position forever. I of course rather not be second lah, right? So we just need to, you know, adapt along the way and do it fast enough that, you know, no one else can catch up with us lah.
And see who makes it out at the end. No?
Yeah, lor, correct lor. So that's still my ideal lah. I mean, losing is of course there are lessons to be learned, but I think you can learn those lessons without losing also. Which I think that's, you know, preferable for us lah, in a way, or me lah.
So I guess for our viewers, you heard it from the three of us. Experience, even failure, even losing, can all, if you take it in well and you accumulate this within yourself and use it for good purpose to better yourself, that is how you actually move on and progress to become a better asset lah, right? And I guess for like what Rup said, we are inviting anyone to challenge us to be competition for us.
I mean, there are lah. I mean, we are not,
Yeah.
we're
Of
not,
course,
we're not
yeah,
the
yeah.
best
I
in the
mean,
country.
we
Far
definitely-
from it. Far from
We
it.
definitely
right?
have plenty of
Yeah, far from
competitions
it.
still.
Yeah, but I think, sure, right? You know, if let's say, friendly,
Friendly competition.
friendly, honorable, non-toxic competition, yeah, sure. You know,
Yeah,
why not?
We invite that. Yeah, anything to make us better people, make us better industry.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best years I had in the career, right, was, you know, when I had the outside challenge, you know, with our friends from other
Oh, yeah,
companies
yeah.
or whatnot,
Yeah.
right? There was actually things at stake, right? And then of course we did it honorably with of course a big enough stake lah
Yeah,
to make it fun and exciting, right? So if you know anyone wants to do that, and I think some organizations are doing it as well, you know, in AIA and whatever not, right? So you know, if let's say there's something up your alley, let us know, right? We are always open to to have these sort of fun challenges, right? And invite friendly competition.
Okay, guys, that's all from us today. And we'll see you next episode for a slightly younger topic, if you will find out soon.
Yeah, Don's favorite topic.
Oh,
But you have to stay tuned to the next episode to know what it is. Okay,
All right,
cheers.
see you guys.